Welcome back, friends. In today's video, I'm going to share with you a few posts, homeschool related, from a little subreddit called, we're just going to call it Am I the Alligator, though, because I know you probably have little ones hanging around with you. I want to keep this family friendly. If you are not familiar with this subreddit, people post stories about something in their life, and they want to know, are they in the right? Or are they in the wrong? Are they the alligator or not? So I grabbed a few, like I said, that are homeschool related. I'm going to read you the stories. I will have the links down there if you want to go check them out yourself. And then we'll talk about these. I'll give you my opinion, my thoughts, and I definitely want to hear what your thoughts are as well. Okay, our first story is, am I the alligator for giving my kids a dress code for homeschool? I have two daughters, ages 12 and 10, and I homeschool both of them. This school year, I decided to implement a dress code for school time. Toward the end of last year, things got kind of rough. They'd frequently want to do school in their pajamas, and I didn't see a problem with that until they stopped doing their work, got distracted, and went back to bed during the day. This year, I decided to implement a dress code for homeschool. They are no longer allowed to do school in their pajamas. To really drive home the point, I bought some school skirts and tops for them to wear while we homeschool. I don't make them wear them every day, just on days when we have a lot of things to get done. I found them to be a lot more focused and productive. My 10-year-old loves her school outfit. My 12-year-old, not so much, I bet. But as we're at home most of the day, she doesn't mind too much. I've discussed this with other homeschool moms, and I get a mixed response. Some think it's a good idea, and others think that I should have asked the girls before implementing it, and that I'm too strict. Am I the alligator? My ruling? No, she's not. In our home, we just have the habit of not getting dressed. We get dressed each day. In part because I want to be ready when we have to leave the house. I don't want to have to still change to get ready. And also in part because I do find that I'm more productive when I get ready for the day. But there are days when pajamas are my outfit. If we are home all day, especially in the winter, I love to get up, get showered, get ready, and then put PJs on as my outfit. It's one of my favorite things to do, and I don't do it too often, but I definitely do. I like that. But I think the act of putting that on as an outfit and getting ready in pajamas shifts my focus to be more focused, frankly, rather than just feeling like I'm a bum, which is how I feel if I stay in pajamas. My kids follow suit. It was never something that I expressly said this is the rule. It's just what we do in our home. If this is what's working for her and working for their homeschool and everything's going along swimmingly when they do it, go for it. Be willing to adjust when things are needed, but whatever works for your homeschool, right? I say that a lot. You have to figure out what's going to work for yours. And if that's what's working for her, great. Not the alligator, in my opinion. The next story. Would I be the alligator if I told my friend she's not good at homeschool? And friends, I've got opinions about this one. Every time I read it, I get a little more hot and bothered. I, 27-year-old female, have a friend who's 29 and homeschools her kids ages 8, 7, and 4 and uses a faith-based curriculum. The curriculum itself is sound and honestly a decent resource for someone with no teaching history that has no idea where to begin. The problem with the situation is that my friend does not keep up with the curriculum. She's only teaching them for 10 hours at most each week, if at all, and uses the same lessons for all 3 kids. She typically posts what they're learning on social media. The oldest should be able to do multiplication and write complete, grammatically correct sentences by now, plus so much more, but can barely add and spell. The middle child is definitely gifted, but hasn't been offered enough challenges to excel in their development and is falling behind. The youngest mostly watches the others and does not know letters or numbers, so the lessons go over their head. I have a master's in education and am certified to teach in our state, so I have plenty of knowledge of how to teach and what concepts the kids should be learning each school year. From what I have observed, there are no present delays due to mental development, simply a lack of quality education. Like me, you may have picked up on that last little bit. She has a master's in education and is certified, and mentions nowhere that she has had actual teaching experience. What she's learned from a book, as we all know, because we read parenting books before we had kids and then we had kids, what's in a book tells you that what. It doesn't prepare you for the reality of it. Those are different things completely. I don't need to tell you that. You know. So to me, that was the first big flashing warning sign, because she has no idea other than what the books say. And I'm sure she's had classroom experience, so I don't deny any of that. I was a teacher myself, so I get that. However, that is so completely different than homeschooling. So completely different. So, my initial ruling is, and I say this with a lot of I'm trying to be graceful, not necessarily the alligator. But what's her intent? Because an ungracious reading is that she wants her friend to feel ashamed and put her kids in public school. If that's not her intent, if her intent is truly to say, hey, I'm concerned, it's not her place, I don't think, but I don't think it is necessarily means that she's an alligator. If she's coming from a place of concern and wanting best for her friend and for her kids. She says, you know what, I love you, you're an awesome mom, and I know that your kids are awesome and I want better for them. That's one thing. If she wants to say, you're bad at homeschooling, and I'm certified to teach and I have a master's and I can tell you what you did wrong, that is a completely different stance. And yes, I would definitely say that she's an alligator in that situation. But a couple of notes just on the specifics of this one is that, one, an 8 and 7-year-old who are using the same curriculum that's not even a moment of concern to me, because you can have a 7 and an 8-year-old in the same public school classroom. That's not a problem. They're back to back. A lot of parents with back to back kids like that bring them along in the same. For subjects like history and science, we did those together almost all the way through, and my kids are a little further apart than that. So I don't think that's a concern. An 8-year-old who is not writing complete grammatically correct sentences and doing multiplication is also not a concern to me. Could it be that the child is capable of that if the parent was doing more? Maybe. But I can guarantee you that what the friend posts on social media is just a snippet of what they're doing. So maybe the kid just isn't there yet. I had one who was older than that before they could read. Spelling, well, have you looked at the internet lately? Because spelling, good luck getting through a scrolling of any social media and not seeing spelling mistakes or grammar mistakes. It just is. A 4-year-old who doesn't know their letters and numbers may be a concern or maybe not. It depends. But that alone doesn't mean that the lessons go over their kid's head, right? Like, kids don't not absorb anything, any kind of learning, until they can do that. Anyone who's had a kid can tell you that they're sponges. So it definitely reads like she's this single person, not much experience with kids, never having taught, but has a idea that she knows it all. And that is maybe an uncharitable read of it, but let me know what your thoughts are about her and her friend's situation. Okay, our last one is a longer one, but I think it's good, and it's given me a lot of food for thought. So, am I the alligator for not wanting to help my wife clean our classroom for the 4th year in a row? My wife stays at home with our kids and teaches. She was a professional teacher before she became a mother. She's an awesome wife and mother. She teaches, maintains the household, cleans, etc. I must admit, at times, I have somewhat taken her incredible care for us for granted. I'm a man, and by nature, not always receptive to her feelings. Here's my defense. I work 6 days a week. Hours vary between 60 and 80 hours. I have my regular 6 days a week job, and I also do side work to keep money flowing. We've done pretty good at maintaining a comfortable lifestyle for our kids and us. This is where it gets tricky. My wife has been dragging, for the last few years, an unnecessary amount of school supplies. They were in our old house after she left, then stored in her brother's attic, and then our new home's garage, and eventually up to the classroom. Last weekend, I spent a couple of hours with her getting the classroom more manageable. The kids have not been in school for summertime. Most of the summer was filled with activities and projects and other life events. She did everything but get her classroom in order. School starts this week, and I've had an especially long week. I worked over 80 hours, and my one day off is Sunday. Well, I usually let her give me a honey to-do list on Sundays to help things get caught up and set her up for the week to come. She's got a lot on her plate with the kids, making sure the house isn't destroyed, carting them around to activities, appointments, grocery shopping, etc. This weekend, I hit a wall. After 12 years of marriage and her dragging all of this stuff from house to house, I had enough. I've bought her wine for her to settle and overcome this classroom. I wasn't going to deal with it anymore. So, she's threatened our marriage, and that this was the final straw. I've made mistakes in our marriage, and they have never been betrayal-level mistakes. I regard myself as a decent, hardworking person. I'm not perfect, but I'm always present and trying. Am I the alligator for just not doing anything else? Friends, I have so many thoughts on this one. So many. And of all the responses that other people or the people made on this one, this is the one that they most, you could just imagine people raising their eyebrows about. Because he said a lot of the right things. But I'm going to limit my thoughts to homeschooling except for 2 things. One is that last bit where he says that he's always present. If he's working 60 to 80 hours a week, 6 days a week minimum, he's not always present. And I don't say that as a judgment. We were married to the military for the first 20 years of parenting. I get having a spouse who is working a lot. But in that same regard, I get having it. They're not always present. Not physically, not mentally. You can't be. There's just no way that you are physically present if you are working 60 to 80 hours a week, 6 days a week. That's a minimum of 10 hours. Plus sleep time. You're not always present. You're just not. The other part that stood out to me was that part where she threatened the marriage and said this was the final straw. Because I can guarantee you that there have been a lot of other straws if this one's her final one. I read something recently that women on average consider divorce or the idea of divorce for about 3 years before they ever verbalize it. So if this came out of nowhere to him, it didn't come out of nowhere to her. Now let's focus on the actual problem of the stuff that she has in her schoolroom. Because how many of us have more homeschool stuff than what we need? How many of us have had some of it that we've had for a lot of years and need to deal with it? Also, she's a teacher, so it's natural that she's going to have things from then. I forget their ages of the kids exactly, but they were like 11, 8, and 5 or something. There was a range. So it's natural that she's going to hold on to some stuff for that reason as well. It's also natural that they're going to be tired. If he's working that much and she's doing everything else, that's a lot of work, right? I don't have to tell you, it's a lot of work. That said, I don't think that he's necessarily the alligator if we're just focusing on this one issue. In our home, I'm the one who does almost everything with homeschooling. So him helping out or not, I don't think that makes a difference. But if she's asking for help, why not help her? That doesn't mean that they have to tackle the entire backlog of stuff in a single day. They can pull out one thing a week for one box or one bag for the next several weekends, turn on something funny or use some time to communicate and hang out together, just chat, and go through the box or the bag. One a month or one a weekend is going to make a difference, slowly but surely. She may be overwhelmed by trying to do all of it, or not. Maybe she just hasn't made the time for it. She's got a lot going on. Making the time to do it might be the problem itself. So is the intent where he's just like, I'm not doing it, it's your job, you do it? Well, then maybe he is the alligator. I would say almost all of us, if not everyone, has helped their spouse at a time when they didn't really want to. They wanted to sit and watch a movie or scroll YouTube or scroll Facebook or read a book, whatever. If you can figure out a way to help your spouse, whether it's this or cleaning the garage or whatever, finding the lost sock, what's the intent? Again, going back to that intent from the last story. Is the intent that you want better and you want to help your wife, your spouse? Or is the intent that you just want them to deal with it all? I just can't quite wrap my brain around the idea of not finding a way to help even. 30 minutes a weekend, both of you working for the next several weekends, and why not? Why not help? Anyway, I would love to know what your thoughts are on this one and the others. Who's the alligator? Who's not the alligator? Let me know down in the comments. I'll see you in the next video.